Welcome to This Week in Moto from around the world. Just before the Triple Crown at Glendale, which I'm going to be there. What's it called when you have I got like a 4 a.m. flight, 2 different airports, then I'll be there just in time for the safety meeting and press day. I got to go live on the other ones, but thank you everybody for joining the live show. So KTM, they've got a giant restructuring, and this is to prevent bankruptcy. We know from what we know is the Pierre Mobility Group is struggling. They're about $2 billion in the hole. And to prevent bankruptcy, they need to come up with 30% of the debt. And some new investors popped in, and they've come up with around 600 million, but the goal was 900 million. There's another big meeting at the end of February to sort of finalize everything. We've seen the CEO step down, and a lot of the new investors, they are wanting the CEO, Stefan himself, to come up with, put money of his own on the line to save his life's work. He's in his 60s. I think he's almost in his 70s. But here, let's take a look at just what is actually going on. I mean, the RSI is looking bullish, but here, let's get rid of the RSI. And I can just look at this from just a standpoint here. Pretty much over the last few years, right? This guy's just been tanking. It's been going down tremendously. We know it's gone down about, what is that? 70, 90% or so. And you guys are all talking about crypto's movie. Yes. The Fed has been able to now start potentially turning on the printer yet again, which is going to be good because that's the only thing we've been missing is the liquidity. But if I just look at this from a standpoint, all right, support and resistance, this giant trend line has been resistance. Anytime we've hit here, it's been a good idea to be like, oh, we're going to just short the hell out of KTM because we're going to make money. They're struggling fundamentally, right? But here at the bottom, once the essentially savior of, let's say, the bankruptcy was going to happen with the restructuring, we've been coming up. And ever since then, this has formed a good line of support. And right now we have broken out. This is interesting that we've broken above the trend line. And usually what ends up happening is we'll see, just like how we have here, bounce down, bounce down, bounce down, down, boom, bounce down. Now we've gone up. Okay. Then the next step is to hit the support before you go up. But so KTM is essentially too big to fail. And if I'm looking at what they have done over the couple years, as well, here recently, they sold MV Agusta, right? They've sold Expo Sports Car, right? And they've also sold Felt. I honestly didn't even know that the Pierre Mobility Group owned Felt bicycles. I would have almost, for some of my Ironmans, might have wanted to buy one of them because, like, hey, you getting into those Felt bicycles are badass. They're also like 13 grand, but they've pretty much stopped all production on their MotoGP efforts. And here, let me look at here. This is so we've got the 2024 Tech 3 gas, and now we have the 2025 Tech 3 KTM. That's going to get no evolution whatsoever, no R&D. They're just going to go racing. And I sure hope that Acosta is able to perform on last year's model. That is going to be interesting as well, because they've essentially come out and said that they are going to sell around 250,000 motorcycles this year, where last year they sold around 330,000 motorcycles. They've stopped all production on gas, Huskies, KTMs up until the end of February. That's right with the R&D when it comes to MotoGP. But there's light at the end of the tunnel. After selling a lot of their brands, which is a bummer. Okay. They even spent they bought it for only 12 million euros. Wow. That's cheap. And they're selling something that they bought for 12 million. That's insane, right? So anyway, they're coming up with 30%, and they needed to come up with 600 million. And part of it is their stock split. So basically what they did is they've had 33 million shares available, and they just added more. They split the stock, and the stock is up 50% over this month. right? So if I'm looking at December, it was sitting at almost 100% even with the stock split here. They're doing well. So truthfully, this is the biggest company in motorcycle racing in our demographic of just racing in general. And so who are the guys that are trying to buy, right? Well, Fountain Vest is a Hong Kong capitalist firm, and they are trying to come up with the money to help KTM out. And then also Citigroup, big ass bank, Citigroup, right? This is a $200 billion company. They are looking to purchase part of the Pierre Mobility Group as well. And you know who is pissed, right? So Pierre owns 50% of it, and then Baja Autos owns 49%. So I don't know how they're going to split between Citi and this Fountain Vest Partners, but they're coming up with the $600 to $900 million to save them, allegedly, right? That's not set in stone. We'll know for sure once the February meeting happens, but it's looking like there's light at the end of the tunnel. Yes, Gas, Barsha, pretty much anyone, Malcolm Stewart, anyone that's on those Huskies, even Sexton and Juju, these guys are racing for their jobs. And it's cool to see because, like I said before, a true measure of a man is not what he does in times of comfort and convenience, but what he does in times of controversy. And basically that's it. So that's what they're doing. And it's good to see Juju and Sexton and honestly all the peer mobility hierarchy triangle, Bermuda Triangle of the motorsports world. They seem to be doing pretty well, but they've gotten rid of about 40% of the jobs. A lot of people are getting laid off. And from what I've heard, they haven't actually been paid as well either. So hopefully they can get this done with the influx of new money, but we'll know for sure when this happens February 25th. That's 90 days after the insolvency period, and they are demanding higher than 30%. But the Peer Mobility Group are trying to just come up with just that 30%, right? They want to come up with as least as possible because it's funny. They are raising debt to pay off their debt. And this is the problem I have with traditional schools too, is they always say, hey, you need to pay off your house. And hey, you need to pay for your school up front. And hey, you need to have no debt. But then our actual system, you need to have a credit score. In order to have a credit score, you got to go into debt. And then when you think of big wigs, they don't necessarily ever pay cash for anything. They raise capital and they go buy with debt. Right? What happened during the pandemic with the housing crisis where prices were going up 10, 15% a month and you were competing with cash buyers. They weren't cash buyers. They were investment firms that had a bunch of debt on hand where they had debt cheap because interest rates were almost under 1%. Now it's kind of expensive to come up with debt. So this is one of the reasons as to why the Pierre Mobility Group is struggling to finance that debt, is because it's expensive to borrow money at the moment. But their liabilities are about 2.2 billion euros, which the inflation on the dollar, I would say that's about $2.4 billion as of right now. And then you also have a hedge fund of White Box who is trying to buy the promissory notes since the bankruptcy was declared. And they have announced opposition to the restructuring plan. And why is that? Well, what they are doing is essentially they are trying to buy KTM for cheap, pennies on the dollar. They don't want to see KTM get out of this. They want to see them burn so that they can pick up the pieces, buy it for cheap, and then either sell it off to the highest bidder or restructure the company themselves and just go back to just KTM or something, or turn it into an automotive company, whatever that is they want. But you guys are commenting as far as too big and the chat room, you guys are cracking me up for sure. But no, to me, on paper and judging by I want to say technicals. Okay. So the fundamentals, there's two things when you look at purchasing something, right? For me, I'm a short-term swing trader, but then I'm also a lifelong investor in stuff, right? Fundamentals is the number one thing that you got to invest in. And if you're looking at, if I got my Nostradamus hat on and this could be my magic. I don't even know where I'm trying to go with a joke here. Magic. Okay, the point is gone. I'm just being awkward for no effing reason. You look at fundamentals. KTM, biggest motorsport company in the world when it comes to two wheels. Do you think they're going to stick around? Probably. Have I ridden their stuff? Do they make good stuff? Yes, they make good stuff. Well, for me, that seems like a pretty safe investment that they're going to be able to come out with this. And then you have news that Citi Bank, one of the biggest banks in the world, actually Chase Bank is the biggest bank in the world, but Citi's not far behind. I believe their market share is around $200 billion. They've got money. They can do it, right? Do you think they are going to invest money into something that is going to go to zero? No, right? So fundamentally, sounds like the Peer Mobility Group is a pretty good opportunity to buy cheap, right? Because there's that saying, you want to buy low, sell high. But truthfully, as a trader, you want to buy high, sell higher, or you want to sell short, sell lower, right? That's kind of how it works. You want to follow the trend. And right now, the trend is changing. The trend is changing. We are in the precipice of this guy going upwards, right? So now looking at it technically, we've been in a long downtrend. If I just zoom out, we've had this few years, just significant downtrend crisis. And now we have hit the bottom. That to me is a sense of potential reversal. Yes, I would definitely be thinking if we came back down here and retested this would be, I got to get out of it. I got to get out of it if we break down. But chances are we could bounce up from there. Chances are we could just continue riding this higher, right, throughout the next few months, because February's coming. And so KTM is going to get what is called, the news that they need, the saving grace, which that is what February, what was the date that it was happening? February 25th. Okay. That's their 90-day. That is their oh shit date that they have to come in here. And you guys are saying looks like a bear flag. That could be, but that's just looking at it technically. Okay. If you're looking further, I'd have to go more like on the weekly to look at it. Okay. And so, what a bear flag looks like, as far as we've got a comment here, right? A bear flag here, get the drawing here. Okay. You go down and then it looks like a flag at the bottom, which is just bearish, showing that it's going to come out here and then it's going to break down. But the problem is, I'm not even showing you. So this is what a bear flag goes down, come up here. It looks like a flag, price goes up, and then it goes down. The problem is if you have a catalyst event, right? Something that is going to turn everything around, right? It's the end of catching the falling knife, right? And you guys are asking, you got to look at my other channel. I do lots. I love stuff, but I'm a big fan of the big seven. My philosophy is only invest in stuff that you actually use, right? And so for that, if you have a KTM, you might want to buy KTM because you obviously believe in the company. And this is probably the best comment here. I'm all in on Tomac stock. Me too. I'm going to be there, and I think he's going to fucking win. I think he's going to tear Jet apart, right? But anyway, so fundamentally, they're getting a buyout by potentially a big Hong Kong hedge fund and Citibank. That is good. They're asking the CEO to come up with his own money, to have a little bit of skin in the game, to save his company. They are selling off all assets. They're selling Feld bicycles, the AG Agusta, their sports car manufacturing, but they're not selling gas or Husqvarna. They're trying to keep that all together. So to me, they're doing what needs to be done. And truthfully, they may be too big to fail in this industry, especially if they get this buyout going here. So I am all in on KTM. I mean, not financial advice. I personally haven't bought anything. I feel like my money is better spent on other things. You'd have to follow my other channel to know why. But there's been lots of just scary stuff coming out saying that their debt is over $2 billion after last hearing. Well, you know what? Their debt is now going to be right around $3 billion once KTM comes in and buys it, right? Because they're not just giving the money for free. They're giving it in shares of the stock. And they did the stock split where they had, is this the right one? Oh, maybe this is the right one, where they got approval to raise 50% more capital for their shares with 33 million. And now they're adding another 16 million, roughly 17 million. That is big, right? And for me, too big to fail. Just for us without dirtbags. KTM is an airline industry of banks. Don't get it twisted. I mean, you have something to be said, but I'm just talking fundamentally. Again, fundamentally, it is seeming strong that things are going to go well for these guys. And some of their riders are doing the best that they ever have. Juju and also Sexton. Could you imagine if Acosta comes out and wins the first round of the MotoGP on old effing shit? I'm just going to be getting in there and I'm just going to be laughing, you know? So here, honestly, I wanted to look at the betting stuff here too, just because you get an idea of where the money's at. Because if you follow the money, then you're able to find out who it most likely is probably going to win. So I got to go to Supercross. God. Dun, dun, dun. And I believe they had it on here. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, there it is. There it is. There it is. Thank you guys for sharing, staying with me. Right. They got Jet at plus 120. Right. So you bet $100, roughly, you know, you'll make $40 back. Hunter Lawrence is Jason Anderson is lower than Hunter Lawrence. To me, that is whack. That's way whack. Right. You bet $100, you can make like $4,000 on Jason Anderson. That seems like a better bet to me than the Pierre Mobility Group. Just in I think that's funny. And this was interesting. So Tomac, he had the same line. I'm pretty sure when he got the whole shot in the heat race last at A2, he went back and told Deegan, hey, one gate from the outside, do it. Right. And it didn't really start raining until the 250 main event was underway. Deegan got a really good start, ended up getting out front. And then you want to look at what the ticker symbol is? It is, what is that? PKTM. Dun, dun, dun. All in on Malcolm. Good. But what? Now I just lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, just looking at this. So then you had the 450s come out. And so Tomac was like, hey, this gate worked. Why wouldn't it work before? And the only problem is that it rained. So you could see that he spun. And then once he got to the wet stuff, he spun. I really like Jason Anderson's gate over in the dirt that hasn't been used way on the outside. I do think he was on the verge of potentially getting caught because of the whole creeping thing, even though it was only a couple inches. If you watch my analysis video, go back and watch that. It should be at the end of this video too. If you want to click on it, I'll show a little bit of that. But again, I appreciate everybody that is joining the live show. Make sure you smash that like button. Just smash it, dude. If you want KTM to succeed, you just hit that freaking like button. And I am super scared for this guy. He says he bet his house on Jet winning this weekend. I hope that's not real, because that's total gambling. Right? That's total gambling. But I hope you succeed. Truthfully, I think Tomac is going to win. But in other news, okay, we've got the results of the first works race. And where is actually the results? Dun, dun, dun. So you've got Tyler Lynn winning, and then the 250 Pro, Mason Simmons winning. In front of Noah Gordon. So both KTMs, good for them. A lot of the 250s, lots of KTMs winning. And then Arena Cross, round 7. Did Freeze win again? Yeah, with a 3-1. Freeze won. Ryan Brees with a 2-2. I believe he's got a ACL. Then Michael Hicks with a 1-4. Kyle Bitterman, that guy's been around for a while. You know, same thing, Austin Politelli. Wow, good for you, dude. With a 4-3. Good to see him racing again. And then, yeah, that was pretty much it. But guys, I'm going to be at Glendale. So if anyone's out there, again, come by. If you see me around, I will stop, right? Take a picture, tag me in it, and I'll share it as well. But till next time, this is Johnny Hopper. Keep it WFO. Ba-ra-da-da-da-da-da.